वीडियो सीरीज़ या ये वीडियो जो पर्टिकुलरली AIP के लिए है उसको मैं इंग्लिश में बना रहा हूँ, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग अलग अलग कंट्रीज से हैं जो इस इमिग्रेशन प्रोग्राम के अंदर आना चाहते हैं, और उनके अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए हम इसको एक यूनिफॉर्म लैंग्वेज या एक ऐसी लैंग्वेज में रखें जो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ लोग समझते हैं. So let's begin. So this video is particularly being made in English only because of the reason that every person from any country who is interested in immigrating to Canada under the AIP, which is Atlantic Immigration Program, could understand the video. So to begin with, we will be discussing about the AIP, which is Atlantic Immigration Program, in a small video. And in this video, I would only be discussing about the introduction of AIP, following which you could see the links on the right hand side top, in which I would be posting the links of other subsequent videos. For example, the first one I would be covering is the introduction to AIP. Then further on, we will be discussing about that what are the requirements of the AIP, or I would say how to get an offer letter. Once you have secured an offer letter, the third video will tell us about that how do you apply for a PR program, or how do you apply for PR and what are the requirements and which all are the documents which you need to fill. I'd like to give a disclaimer over here that I am not a immigration consultant or a immigration lawyer. Everything I say is either from the experience I have through being in this path of immigration, or is from the official IRCC website, of which I would definitely put many, not all, links in the description so that you could refer by yourself. I would say that anything I say, you should first go through yourself on those links, study and analyze case per case as per your understanding, and then go forward. Do not rely on any specific words or any specific person over the videos or any vlogs. To start with, this video one is AIP. I'll just retell again. It's Atlantic Immigration Program. So you might have heard in 2021 or before that there was a program called Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, which was a pilot program which was a particular pilot program for these Atlantic province, which are 4. And this was basically to drive the immigration internationally and also within Canada to these Atlantic province, because there were less population or less skilled workers in these particular areas. Because of being remote areas, I would not say such of remote areas, because I personally live in one of those Atlantic province and I really like the people and the opportunities I'm getting here. So to begin with, this Atlantic Immigration Program is basically for 4 provinces, which is Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Islands. So these 4 have different geographies, different industries where you could work. Like for example, in Prince Edward Islands, it is more of a fisheries or potato type of industry, which is particularly into either sea animals or agriculture. Like other places, Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, these are having different type of industries over there. You could research those also. So these, only if you're interested in getting a PR under the Atlantic province, only then you can apply for this program. If you have intentions to live somewhere else like Ontario, Quebec or someplace else, you would not be eligible for this program. So first, you should think that these provinces are the province where you would really want to stay and intend to stay for at least, I'll say 2-3 years, till the time you get your PR, and after that try to still stay here. And it is a good province to live in, so I believe you could live your throughout life in these provinces. Okay, so to start with, these are the requirements of eligibilities which you should have in order to be successful or to be eligible for this program. The first one being eligibility, and for eligibility, you should have at least 1 year of skilled work experience in the last 5 years. So, what does it mean? It simply means that here we calculate a full working as 30 hours per week. So the 30 hours per week is the maximum. So for example, I used to work around 45 hours or 50 hours a week. And I would say that if you are considering 30 hours per week, then I already have the experience because I have the number of hours in less than 1 year. But this is not how they work. The calculation is done as that in 1 year you should have worked 1560 hours, which is 30 hours per week. You cannot cap that and say that I have worked over, so please consider me and just consider my 8 months because I have worked 1560 hours. It should be absolutely 1560 in 1 year or more than that. So this is the eligibility criteria for the skilled work experience, which would make you eligible for it. There are other requirements in the skilled work experience also, that for which job offer you would be getting the offer. So for example, there are tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, which was NOC O, NOC A, NOC B, NOC C earlier. And those things should match with the job offer, which we will be discussing after this. So the work experience, the good thing is the work experience only applies for people who do not have any study done in Canada. If you are planning to get a study in Canada, you should probably select a designated learning institute with a study of at least 2 years from these Atlantic province. If you do so, the moment you successfully complete your 2 years of study, then you would be eligible to apply for a PR. The condition is that first, that you should have done 2 years of study in Canada. The second is that the province, or sorry, the college should be recognized. It should be a DLI in one of those 4 Atlantic province. The third is that the study should not be a distance education. It should not be that you're sitting in your home country and doing a distance study. It should be a full-time physically present over here. The fourth is that in the last 2 years, at least you should be living in this province studying for at least 16 months. So you should have some sort of proof, for example, your phone bills, your electricity bill, or any sort of proof which would show that you were here for the 16 months out of 2 years before the date you graduated. So this is the requirement, and basically the last requirement is that you should have a valid visa. So which is that you should have a student visa or a valid visa for which you studied in Canada. So this is basically an exception for the international students, but this does not apply to people who are thinking of immigrating from different countries and who do not have any study experience over here or study from Canada. So what about the education requirement? The second education requirement in like the tier 0 or tier 1, you should have 1 year of post-secondary education from Canada, or you should have an equivalent study outside of Canada. So this post-secondary means like anything which is like after post-secondary, which is secondary as in India treats as 10th, and 12th is considered as post-secondary. So as for example, if any person has done a graduation, which is either be Bachelor of Arts or BSc or engineering, anything which is after 12th or after post-graduation, from his home country, he could get a assessment which he could get from WES or some other bodies. So WES is World Education Services. You could Google it, and there are ways in which you could get your education recognized from your home country, and it could show that it is on the same level as of Canada. For the other tiers, which is NOC 2 or tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, which is basically skilled workers or non-skilled workers, either it be butchers, either it be restaurant servers, which is tier 4. In that case, you should have a high school diploma or an equivalent. So this is the education requirement, and the same thing applies here, that you should have a equivalency report which shows that if the education was from outside Canada, it should be on the level which is required by Canada. So third, the best thing in this program is the language requirements. We know that many of the people face problems in getting required scores in IELTS or some other English proficiency test. So in that case, it is basically that if you are trying for tier O, 1, 2, 3, your CBL should be 5, which is I think pretty good, decent scores, which is equivalent to, if I say CBL versus IELTS. So the CBL would be listening 5, reading 4, writing 5, and speaking 5. And that is basically for tier O, 1, 2, 3. If you're working on a non-skilled job like butcher or service supervisors or service people or restaurants or Tim Hortons or any place, in that case it would be CBL 4, which is even less than the CBL 5, which is listening 4.5, reading 3.5, writing 4, and speaking 4. So the next thing is the settlement funds. The settlement funds, as you can see in the screen, is for one person. The settlement funds you need to show as per this time. I'm recording in June 2023. It could increase later on, and which has already increased a couple of months ago. So right now it is for one person is 3,439. And as you increase, for example, there are 2 people in the family, it would increase to 4,281, and this is Canadian dollars. So I will be pasting a table which shows that what is the fund requirement which you have. So there is basically for showing these funds, it should not be that you show in terms of any property you have back in your home country or any other asset which you have which is not readily available for dispense. So it cannot be that you show a property, it cannot be any sort of I'll say any bond or any sort of other thing which you show that I could sell that and then ultimately get the money. It should be liquidated money. It should be the money which you could get anytime. So for example, it could be some sort of FD on your name, which is fixed deposit. It could be any savings money which you have in your account. So to basically show that money, or it could be a gift deed as well. I don't have much of knowledge about gift deeds, but you could research that also. But this money should be at least 6 months old in your account. Basically, you would have to make a document or a paper or a letter from your financial institute which would contain these or the following requirements. The one is that the bank institute contact number should be there, your name should be there, your outstanding debts, which is the credit card debts or loans, should be on that. There should be your account number, date of each account which was opened with that financial institute, the current account balance you have there, and the average balance over the last 6 months. So these are the requirements which should be in that letter which you will be bringing from that financial institute, and that financial institute should give that on a company's or an financial institute their letterhead. So it should basically have the official letterhead on which this everything is written. So to coming forward, the another confusion point with many people is the job offer part. That what should be the job offer, like for example, somebody is working as a manager or a highly paid job in some home country. Is he eligible to get a low job offer from here, from Canada? So that is not the case. Here it is clearly mentioned that the job offer which is received by any person who is applying for this program, and this job offer means the job offer from a designated employer, and designated means that the the employer is already registered with the provincial government, and there is a separate list where I would post the link over here and also in the description, in which you would have the links. These links update frequently to add company's name in it, which are newly designated, so you can search for that. The coming video I will be discussing also on that how to find designated employers, how to apply as I did. So how to apply and get a job offer both while living in Canada or while living outside Canada. So we were discussing about job offers. So job offer is basically that the job offer which you get from a Canadian employer, it should be on the same level or should be on a higher level from the work experience of 1 year eligibility which you have back in your home country. Or the experience could also be inside Canada. So for example, you had 1 year of work experience in Canada or outside Canada of 1 year, and that was for tier 2. So it says that the job offer you would be getting should not be tier 3 or tier 4, because that would be that you are getting a lower job which you are eligible for or which you have already worked. So the job offer which you should have is either job tier, for example, if you have an experience of tier 2, then you should have a job offer from Canada in tier 2, tier 1, tier 0. It should be higher than that. So this is something you should take care of. There is also an exception over here. So many people who are in, I'll say in like the registered nurses over here, those are in high demands under the Atlantic Immigration Program. So for specifically for NOX 32101, which is a licensed practical nurses, and NOX 31301, which is a registered nurse, they can, like, they don't need to follow this tier system of getting a job offer of same of higher. They could also apply for a lower one, which would be NOC 33102 or NOC 44101, which is caregivers and other services, which is of less tier in comparison to the experience which they already have. So this is just a one case exception. So this was the requirement which the province has. If you fulfill these requirements, I would highly suggest you to take an advantage of this immigration program. Everything which I told you will be on the right hand side or in the links below. So you could take a screenshot of that. And if in case you have any questions or any confusion regarding it or any suggestions which I missed, you could certainly put it in the comments. Later in the coming videos, we will be discussing on the crucial part which I told is many people are facing a problem of getting job offers in Canada while being outside of Canada. Represent yourself in a way that you could get the job offer from them. And after getting the job offer, what would be the documents you require from them for filling a work permit application and for filling a PR application. This we will be discussing in the next videos, which I would be also putting a link in the description. Thank you so much.